here to show us our new system for our personal requisition approval process. So right now you have the sticker that we fill out. That into the process of getting it approved. This will take us to an online version and the formal process of using email, electronic version to get us to our posting. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, everyone, for joining the call. Appreciate your time. So everyone should be able to see my screen right now. Just make sure it is displaying, and it should be. Great. So everyone's received this handout from Matt or Will after this call, and this will essentially be a reference guide after the fact. So when we're done with the call, you can use this to basically refer back to what we discussed and what I demonstrated today on our call. Matt and I have been working on the creation of this ATS over the past couple months now, and it is ready for everyone to start using. We're very excited, and more importantly, excited for you, because this is going to make your life hopefully a lot easier, and a lot of stress will be alleviated by the automated process and the one-stop shop that is your Luceo ATS system. So I will walk you through the vital components that will be in use in your everyday, starting with the login screen. I'm going to open this up here. You'll all receive, if you haven't already, unique IDs and passwords to log into your system. Once you log into the system, you'll see the dashboard here, which is an aerial view of exactly all the activity with your candidates within the system. So you can see various information and aggregated data coming in from your various career sites where candidates are being piped in from. So we have my candidates, new applicants for my postings, candidates assigned to my open positions. There's aggregated data down here for new applicants, all candidates in the system, applicants from posting source resumes, new applicants from my postings, general resumes submitted, educational level and work experience. These are all just tabs that you can click onto. The numbers that you see across from each row correlate to the specific header, which is new. So if we're looking at new candidates and we want to look at the 3,238 that are listed in your system, we would just click that, and then we can start looking more in depth at your candidates. Also, we have an interactive calendar. This will allow the recruiters to set various interviews and different candidate interactions into their calendar. And the to-do list will populate all the various workflow steps as a requisition has been created by the managers for yourselves. And then the jobs will be posted solely by Matt, or for the time being it will be Matt. And then after Matt creates the job postings, then the HR generalists, who will be trained at a later time, will then be able to move the candidates to the workflow. Here they'll be able to see those various workflow steps. So if they have an interview or if they have some action that needs to be taken, this is a reminder for what that action needs to be, as well as when their postings are ending. So once Matt posts the job, when they log into the system, they'll be able to see when those jobs are going to expire or within a week, and they can make the decision whether or not to contact Matt and let him know that they may need a new posting for a specific requisition. Also, they're able to search, and you're able to search your resume database through this quick search. So any candidate that comes into the system can be searched through here, as well as you can search your active resume database through Career Builder, and you're also able to research candidates from LinkedIn, Google. So we have this various set of actions that you can create through this toolbar up here, and this is going to be the meat and potatoes of the operation for you on a daily basis, starting with requisitions, since you have a vital role when it comes to creation of the requisition. So we have creating requisitions, all requisitions in the system, which represents every requisition that's been created, versus my requisitions, which exemplifies requisitions only created by whoever the user of the system is. So when you log in and you go to my requisitions, you're only going to see the ones that are pertinent to you. Job postings and my job postings will not be relevant for the hiring managers, but this is the area where we see job postings in the system and specific to the user who creates them. So this is essentially for Matt's eyes only for the time being. And then we're able to search job postings and requisitions in the system with the search feature. So let's go into the Create a Requisition page next. And we have a 4-step approval process that's been implemented. And so we have an HM approver, a director approver, a CEO approver, and a corporate approver. So when the requisition is created, you have to enter each one of these fields. And for the demo purposes, I'm going to just enter myself in, give you a demonstration of how this works. You just need to type a few characters in to receive suggestions. And then that approver name should populate. And you can just simply click onto that name to enter them into the system. The recruiter will be defaulted by whoever logs into the system. So this is a multi-drop box. Any drop box you see in the system that has a plus and a red X next to it, there's one here, there's one here, you'll see them throughout the system. These are what we call multi-select, multi-drop boxes. So you can select more than one attribute or one value. You can see these are all various recruiters or users of the system that can log in. And so if there's ownership, if there's more than one ownership for a recruiting position for any given requisition, you can denote that by just selecting the various recruiters that you want them to be under. And it's very simple. You can just click on the names and enter them into the system. You can drag across to enter multiple, and to remove them, simply just click onto the name again, and this will pull them from the recruiter box. To empty the box completely, you can just click this red X, and that will empty the box completely. So I'm logged in as a Luceo administrator, and I'm going to use that for demo purposes. Next, let's look at our requisition form itself. There are some required fields to be filled out. Some are not required. Anything that is a pre-required field is marked with this asterisk here. So the first thing we see is reason for position. And we have new position budgeted, new position not budgeted, or replacement. If replacement, whom is being replaced? So if this is applicable or not applicable, you would just put an NA for best practices, not applicable. If replacing a different position, name of that position. Using current travelers / registry for a requested position, yes or no. If yes, how many travelers registry personnel are being used? Employment type. So you're going to enter what type of employment, so from per diem all the way to temp. Position type, exempt or non. Department. So here's where we're going to get into our standard job template. So Matt and I have worked together on getting standard job templates loaded into the system. So this way it makes the creation of the requisition a little bit more automated and easier for you. So what we've done is created templates where the department and the position can be selected from these drop boxes, which ultimately dictates what the EEO job category is. And then we'll also be able to populate from those templates the job descriptions and responsibilities field and the requirements field that you see here. And we're going to be adding a field as well underneath this EEO, so I'm working with Matt offline to do that. We're going to have another multi-drop box category that will be easy to explain once we have it implemented, but right now you don't see it, so I don't want to get into it. Matt, do you want to speak to that just so everyone understands what category that is going to be entered in here? Oh, okay. Sorry. So then we have
just got a quick message, so we'll ask him later.
Okay, no worries. That's fine. So there'll be one other field underneath this EEO category, so just keep in mind this isn't the finalized requisition. Everything in the system is finalized, but on our first call today, it was decided that there was one more category that was desired, so we're going to enter that here. So we have our department. And as I was saying, this is a template. So within our toolbox in the system, Matt has the power to add more values to these fields that you see here, any of the drop boxes. So we've designed this in a collaborative effort. So he provided all the various fields in the overview and the matching criteria, the position location, all these fields essentially Matt helped design. But then the values themselves, they're not set in stone, is what I'm trying to say, is that these are very agile, it's a very agile system. So if there are, for instance, other departments or positions that are needed, Matt can easily enter those into the system for you. So when we create our templates, you create from department and position. So we have a hierarchy. So department dictates what positions are underneath that hierarchy, and then from there it dictates the EEO job category, and ultimately it dictates what fields, what values are in the job description and responsibilities and requirements fields here. So I'll show you how that works right now by selecting a department. We have various departments that we can select from. And so say we are looking for radiology. When we select radiology, it will then pull only positions that are relevant to the radiology department. So you can see these are all radiology specialists. If I choose progressive care unit, it's going to pull only those that are going to be relevant to the progressive care unit. You can see that the system now is thinking, it's loading, and what it's loading is the job description and responsibilities, which I just mentioned. And from here, oh, excuse me, going a little too fast. So we receive all this information, which saves you a great deal of time without having to hand enter this or copy and paste these from various fields or various documents. You can just go ahead and fill in the other necessary fields that are listed. However, these are amendable. So when you pull this up and you look it over and say the job summary needs a little something else listed to it, if you need to make an amendment or any kind of addendums to any of this section, you may do so at this position. So we selected our department and our position. Now we're going to select our shift. So we have all these preloaded in the system. And then your EEO job category, which is all based off of the job template that we created. So there's only one choice, licensed, practical, and licensed. We have our matching position. What this allows you to do is find candidates that maybe have applied for jobs that are in somewhat of the same field or in the same genre. So this way, if you're looking for a candidate that maybe has the same skill set for this position, you can also widen your net and be able to find more positional candidates, excuse me. Next, we have our location, which is defaulted to the United States and California. The only cities that we have entered into the system are the ones that are pertinent to you. So you select, and from here your posting location now is defaulted to Gardena. Your zip codes are all dictated by the city and the only ones that are relevant. And then your location, we have all the various Avanti hospital entities listed in here. And you just choose whatever appropriate one that's going to be. The requisition ID that you see here is an arbitrary number that our system will just generate. As you create requisitions, this number will then populate in the box. For best practices, for now, I believe Matt said that you are only just going to use the number that it generates. You don't have to think about entering something different. But this is something that can be edited. Say you want to change the naming or the requisition ID naming convention based off of particular positions. So for progressive care unit, for instance, maybe to make those, you can make those titled PCU and then call it PCU1, meaning this is the progressive care unit job number 1 that you're posting. And this way, when you're filtering and sorting or reporting, you can then recognize which department this is coming from. You can also run reports directly from specific departments too, but it's just another tier that we've listed in here to make the software easy to use and something that you can customize to your liking. So we're going to call this requisition test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The title here, licensed vocational nurse, is also pulled down from our template. So we don't need to fill this information in. We need to fill in the number of openings. So this is just dictating how many hires you have for a particular position. It defaults to 1, so if you need more, then you'll have to delete the 1 and enter in whatever the amount is. We have a start and end date, and these represent when you're actually going to be hiring, what the first day of work is going to be for that candidate. This is a non-required field, and simply because it's very difficult sometimes to predict when the very first day someone's going to start on a new job. So we leave this in here in case you need it, but if you do need it, then you're more than happy to fill it out. More than welcome to fill it out, but if it's not relevant, then you can skip it. as in most cases it probably will be irrelevant. Next field is the regularly scheduled days. And we have a multi-select Dropbox, and it just basically Monday through Sunday, and then you have varied shifts. Regular scheduled hours from such and such a.m. to p.m., so you could say 6:15 a.m. to, say, 3 p.m. You have proposed salary, so blank per hour, month, year, salary grade. And salary of the person being replaced, if that was the case, you could fill this in. These are not required fields, so if this is not applicable, you can just type in NA. Is this position budgeted, yes or no? You can say alternatives considered. You can list those. This is a registry contractor. It's a multi-select as well. And then you can explain why each alternative was not implemented. Not a required field. With the approval of the position, the following improvements will be made. There's an open text box for you to fill in. It's required, so you must put something in there. Impact on department if position is not approved. Number of hours of overtime for the last 6 pay periods related to this position, list out per pay period. Any additional comments that you may have to this requisition. And then we see our job description, responsibilities, and requirements that we were just talking about. And lastly, we have the front office mandatory and front office optional fields. Now these are defaulted right now to last and first name, email, home, mobile, and resume. What these represent are the fields that the candidate must fill in when they are on various career sites, whether it's your front office or if they're finding this job on CareerBuilder or whatever source that you're sending the job to, they need to fill in this information in order for them to apply. These values are being pulled straight from our candidate form. So all the fields that we collect on our candidates, you can select as your front office mandatory. And so you can also see this is a multi-select. And if I hover on the plus, all the fields that are incorporated with our candidate form are listed in this drop box. So these are defaulted, but if you want further information about candidates for a particular position, you can select it here. So for instance, if you're looking for employment history, or if they're authorized to work in the United States, or what salary expectations they have, or the department that they're interested in, you can enter them here. Whether they're an internal candidate, you can find out by listing it here. And then right now we have defaulted zip code, city, and state as the front office optional, and similar, you can select things that are nice to haves if they fill them in, but if it's not the end of the world if they don't fill that in. These are the required things they need to fill in. Lastly, we have compensation base and bonus. This is an internal category only, so this is not a candidate-facing piece. It is not required to fill in, but if you have any information in regards to the salary, the compensation base or bonus packages, you can enter those into this field here. So once you have filled all that information out, the next step is to click OK, and we want to go through the validation process of the requisition, meaning we need to send this to our 4 approvers that we filled in, or 3 in this case, because I only filled 3 in. So our requisition has been created. We have licensed vocational nurse, and it's listed in the disposition stage of pending verification. You can see that the ID, I labeled it test, comes up here. We have creation date and the form modified. Throughout the system, you'll see that everything is timestamped. So you can see clearly when things are created, when workflow steps are happening, interactions with various candidates, or interactions amongst the users or contacts in the system will all be timestamped. You can also leave a note in this section here. You can see it's a blank notepad right now. When I click on it, it automatically timestamps when I'm writing the note in. You click the green check mark, and now you'll see a graphic marking on here, and you can hover right on the notepad to see what that note is. So say someone else has ownership of this requisition other than you, they see those markings, they know that there's a note that they might want to be looking into. We also now can edit the requisition, so if we want to go back, we can still edit the requisition in this area, any attachments that we want to incorporate with this requisition, we can do so. We can upload them from our computer. You can see the history. So every workflow step, and if the requisition was rejected or accepted, we can see the reasons right here. We can see workflow statuses of various candidates, all the information, hiring information, any emails or mail history that is tied to this requisition between candidates or users, hiring managers or rec approvers or recruiters themselves will all be showing there. Last tab here is the screening question templates tab. So similar to that front office mandatory section that I was showing you a moment ago where the candidates have to fill in that information, you can also attach screening question templates. So say you have some specific questions to this position, certifications, maybe you're looking to see if they're a certified registered nurse. You can enter those questions in a template inside the system and then use and reuse these at will when you're creating requisitions. And those screening questions will then show up on the career site. So when they're filling out their application online and they enter their name, numbers, and resume, the last thing they will do is answer your screening questions that you created in the system. And those are tracked in the system in the candidate files. You can even add weights to how they answer questions. So if you score someone with a certification, RN certification, that they don't have it would be a 0, and say if they do have it, it's 1. If you're looking for someone who has more experience, maybe the 1 to 3 years of experience would be a 1, but 3 to 5 would rate it number 2. And if they answer number 2, then you'll see the candidates coming in with higher scores or lower scores, and it basically makes candidates stand out. And this is more for the HR generalist, but just to point out the importance of adding screening question templates. So the next thing we want to do for the purposes of our demonstration is validate this requisition. Now we have these various actions. We can copy this requisition and create a new one if we want to. We can forward this, and it basically works in an email format where I can send this requisition to contacts in the system if you want them to have eyes on it and take a look at it before you create it, or any other Avanti hospital personnel that may need to see this that maybe are not users of Luceo ATS. You can send it to them, and then you can send any elements, so any attachments, requisition form, the history of it. So basically you can send the entire requisition form to them so they can see it in a very concise and digestible email. Lastly, you can delete if you want to start from scratch, or if you need to disregard the original requisition, then you can do that there. Otherwise, you can click Validate to move it to the first stage of the requisition approval process. Now, before we had pending verification listed as our disposition stage. Now you can see it is moved to our first approver, pending HM approval. And I listed the HM approval as me, so I should be receiving an e-link in just a second, which will show our requisition form. And here it is. So here's the requisition we just created, and we started our first step of validation, sending it to the HM approver, which is me. And you can see all of the fields that we just filled in are now listed in this email, giving complete transparency to the user, or to the approver, excuse me, on what they need to know about the requisition before they actually accept or reject the requisition. So every piece of data about this requisition comes in the email form. If we want to approve the requisition, we click this blue hyperlink. If we want to reject it, we click this link. So when you go in and click the link for rejection, you're redirected to this reject the requisition form, where you can select reasons why you're refusing the requisition. And this doesn't have any actual data in it right now. This is something I believe Matt will be populating for you. He can actively customize this for you in the toolbox. So if there are specific reasons that you would like him to apply to the system, you can tell him and he can enter those, no problem. Right now it's blank, it says select. Most of you will probably use the comments box. Something to the effect of, this is not in our budget right now, or whatever the case may be, why you're rejecting it, you would do so. once you click OK, this will show up in the History tab. We'll be able to see reasons for failing or accepting. It would have the motive or comments of why you did not accept the requisition. I'm going to go ahead, though, and I'm going to move this forward to the next stage. I'm going to click here to approve. There's a fail-safe for most of the operations in the system, meaning that if you accidentally click OK, you are warned that are you sure you want to accept the requisition. These pop up throughout the system, so if you make a mistake there, it's not the end of the world. It says action done, so now our requisition will be moving from the pending HM approver to the next approver in the system, which is the director approver. So let me log. I approved as myself, which is my email address, not the administrator, so I'm going to have to re-log in as the administrator. Otherwise, it's going to automatically log me in as me. So I will show you, if we go back to, we're going to open up my requisitions. You have this filtration where all the requisitions that I've created are in the system. So we don't see our requisition that we just created, and it's because right now we're listed in the Open Requisition tab, the filter. So as you can see, there's these radio buttons here. You can look at all of them together. You can see the requisitions that are pending verification, the ones that are open, the ones that have been filled, on hold, or canceled. So this one did not get verified completely, so if we check pending verification, we'll see it at the very top of the list. And there it is, licensed vocational nurses. Or we can just look at it through the All Radio button. This allows you to filter and get a clean look to your page. So if you just want to know one specific type of requisition and say there's pages and pages of one type, it might be easier to filtrate them. So I'll simply click back into my requisition, and it says pending director approval right here in the disposition stage. I'm going to quickly validate the next two rounds because there's no real purpose of showing you the e-link again, since everyone knows exactly how it works now. Now we're at pending CEO approval, which will now, after I validate it one more time, it will move to corporate approver. And each time the e-link is validated by an approver, it will trigger the next link to the next approver. So it's an automated process. When the HM approver completes their end, the director then receives their e-link, and so on until it's completed. So this doesn't require the creator of the requisition to wait for approvers. When you log in, you'll be able to see where the disposition stage is, and you'll know where you're being held up or where you are in the process of the creation. So it says pending corporate approval. We'll validate one more time. And now we're validated. So the next stage is you just want to place this in progress. And from here, this is where Matt will take over and start actually posting the job itself. So now we have the disposition stage is listed as open, and now we have these hot buttons that appear. So we can look at our matching. So if we want to look at candidates or any matching profiles to this, we don't have a lot of data in the system because it's not really actively being used right now. You can see there is different matching criteria. The matching criteria is one, the name of the position, as well as the city, skills, and the work experience. And the weights are as follows: 50% for the position, 30 and 10 and 10 for the other three city, skills, and work experience. So based off of those, if you have candidates that say that were applicants of this position, they would be at 50%. The more of these attributes that you can tie to that candidate, the higher they would score. That score would then show in this column here in the candidate profile. So after the requisition has been approved and created and then approved, you can view candidates in process, and this is going to be more for the HR generalists, and then the job posting section. So this is ready to be posted to various career sites, et cetera. This is where Matt will be doing that work. Once he posts the jobs, then the HR generalist will be moving the candidates through the various workflows. The next stage where hiring managers, as yourselves, will come into play is actually receiving forwarded candidate files. So I'm going to open up one of my candidate files here. And so, very clever, someone created Ernest Hemingway yesterday. So we can look at Ernest Hemingway by clicking on their name. We can select the action to forward this now to you. There are many ways that you can create the same action in the system, and you'll find this as you're working through the system and getting acclimated, that it's very nimble software. So there are a lot of ways to do the same thing. So everyone works differently, and as you start getting a niche on how to use the system, you will find that maybe you like to have the candidates forward, or the HR generalist would maybe like to forward the candidate files to you from this page, or maybe they want to open up this candidate and send it to them from the candidate page. So there are many ways to do the same thing. So we can forward the candidate by selecting this orange action arrow. They can select all these different actions, but where you will come into play is by forwarding the candidate file. So they can enter their subject, and their message, and then from here they can select the various contacts. So the approvers or yourselves in the system, they can enter that information. And then from here they can send the entire candidate file. And that will encompass the candidate form itself, the history of this candidate, meaning them in their requisition, so where they've gone in the workflow, any attachments, and I click that, it automatically brings up the resume for Ernest Hemingway, the hiring information, mass mailings, interviews, and any screening questions that they've responded to will all be part of this candidate file. And the HR generalist may also select a document or documents from their hard drive on their computer or various external sources and upload it straight to this email as well. And we'll click send, and in a moment from now I should receive an email. Oh, what am I missing here? Oh, we didn't hire anyone, so that's not pertinent. I should be able to send it. Actually, there's no mass mailings. There's no interviews or screening questions attached right now, so we'll just go with those. So essentially, any data that actually exists can be sent. If it's not been existed, the error will show that we just saw. Okay, so the candidate file now has officially been forwarded. Maybe the subject is, this may be a great fit. I'm looking to hire this person. Do you okay this hire? Do you feel that they are the proper candidate for this position? And then they'll be coming into my inbox in just a moment. So I think I'll use this time to have a sip of water and stop talking. There we go. Email came in, and as you can see, my subject was, this may be a good fit for position X. So this is what you would be receiving. And similar to that e-link where we received our entire requisition form, we are now looking at the entire candidate profile. When candidates apply and they enter all their front office mandatory information and screening question templates that they fill out, and they upload their resume, we are able to parse through our parsing engine all of the fields in our candidate form directly from the resume. So we're able to populate a lot of these fields directly from the resume itself. For instance, work experience, we're able to see their past employment. If they had filled in job desired or any of this information, we would see that, whether they're an internal candidate or not, any comments that were brought into them, and then we can see where they came from as well. You can see the job source. This is somebody who's unsolicited, so meaning that they sent their resume for future consideration, but they're not applying to a specific position. Had they come from Career Builder or Monster or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever source it would be listed in this section right over here underneath origin source. We can see the candidate workflow history. We can see reasons for failing or accepting this candidacy and interaction history, the recruiters that they're tied to, the correspondence history, the hiring information if they'd been hired, candidates filed forward. You can see it was forwarded to me today on this date, and we can also see a candidate log when they were assigned to the requisition. So it gives complete transparency to the hiring managers or whoever this is being forwarded to. And what's more, they're also able to receive the attachment of the resume. And you can then download that and save it to wherever it is on your computer or wherever you file your candidate resume. That is forwarding candidates, and these are also all the details I'm going through will be found inside this reference guide. The last thing I wanted to show you today is the reporting engine. So in our main toolbar, we also have reports here, which allows you to pull up any metrics from all the data being collected in the system. And that includes candidates or requisitions and job postings you can receive quarterly, create quarterly, weekly, monthly, fiscal year, whatever it is exactly that you want to generate, you can create these. So we have applicant reports, which are the EEO and screening questions specifically. So all those screening templates, we can then create reports based off of that. We have custom reports that we can create in the system, which is the most popular feature. And then you have standard reports. Standard reports, we've already had some preloaded in the system, which is just very standard stock model, if you will. We have all candidates, educational level, transaction time, work experience, average quantity of candidates by source, the candidate flow, the cycle time, so time till they're hired from the workflow, step one, all the way to the onboarding process, funnel reports, open requisitions, overall source performance, so you can find out where you're getting your candidates from and what seems to be working best, and allows you to save a lot of resources and time if you can pinpoint which career site or which career board that you're posting to is yielding the most positive candidate interactions or candidate hires, requisition processing time, requisition activity, and sub-cycle time. To activate the custom reports, you simply click the Custom Reports tab on the Report section of the toolbar. Here you want to select your report type. We can select from requisitions and requisitions and candidates. Clients is not relevant to your system. This is for our staffing companies that use our ATS, and it's part of our template, so it's in this Dropbox, but it's not something that's relevant since you're not working with clients. You're working with candidates and creating requisition. So say we want to run a report involving our candidates in the system. You can select your reporting fields from primary and secondary or all. From there, our available fields will populate. You are able to select up to 20 columns when you are creating your reports, and you can also report 10,000 displayed rows of data. To add fields to your report, you can simply drag over them, you can click on them and enter them, or you can even highlight which ones you want and then use this arrow to move them over, or arrow to the left to move them out of the box. Really, again, it's just a preference thing, so whatever works best for you. You select all your rows, and you look closely, the available fields is very comprehensive. It's essentially every piece of information that we have in the system in regards to candidacy. You can see all this information here. All the interactions, the actions, their work history, their resume information, all of this is all pulled. Their interactions with emails, any recommendations that come in the system, any folders that they're attached to, comments from the interviews, interview fields from comments all the way down to user. You have your transfer with any recipients or contacts. You see the work experience, assignment of the requisition history date. Basically every piece of information. There's nothing left untold. Now we have our data listed, or our fields for our data. We can then manipulate how we want them displayed. So say we want date in the first position, we can just simply scroll up to using this plus to move it to the very first position of our spreadsheet. Now we want to run our data, so we simply just click Run. It will load, take a couple seconds or so, and we're going to see a snapshot of what the spreadsheet will look like. So we have 9 records, and there are columns displayed and the data that's within each column. And mind you, there's not a lot of data because the system hasn't collected anything since you guys haven't actually gone live with the system. So this is all just test data in there. But suppose you're running this 2 months from now, you would see a lot more data than this, I can guarantee you. You have this Excel icon that you can click on. And for that matter, wherever you see an Excel icon in candidate folders or requisition folders, you're able to upload or export Excel files. And from here we have our spreadsheet. So now you can have fun with pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and whatever it is exactly that you like to do in your spreadsheets. We've created our custom report here, so we ran it, but now we want to save it. So what we can do is we can save the report in this tab, but really quickly too, we also have these other tabs I wanted to explain about. We have the grouping. So this is just more of a granular level if you want to start creating a grouping, so you can concatenate or sum, count, max value, those type of things. Things that the functionality that you would normally do in Excel, you can also start that process and pre-filter or pre-group if you want to before you actually export to a spreadsheet. That's, again, a preference thing. If you just want to run the spreadsheet and then run through Excel, you are more than welcome to do so. We will click on the Save Reports tab now. And this is from an earlier training. I created this one here, My Custom Report. So we want to title our report. We'll call this one My Custom Report 2. You can add a description if you want. You can also create a drop box if you want, a drop-down menu of each one of the reports, or you can denote whether this is something for your eyes only or for everyone can use this report. Then you just simply click Save a New Report, and that will populate now in the section where we are collecting all our custom reports. And it's very empty and wide open right now, but you can literally have thousands of reports listed in here. And the more reports that come up into this position, then you can start using your slider to the right over here to navigate down. And then every time you log in, those reports will be there, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you want to run a weekly, annually, quarterly, whatever it is exactly, report that you're trying to run. And that concludes everything I wanted to show everyone today. Curious to hear responses. How do you feel about what you've just seen? Are there any questions about what you've seen? I'd be more than happy to take those now.
Hey, Jeff, we have one question.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't quite hear it. Maybe, Matt, you can ask the question.
Yeah, I will. What she's asking for, Jeff, is it a way we can auto-populate?
Right. For the approval, trying to select a name.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so in the requisition section, the very first section is for the creative requisition under the position description where it's hire manager, director, CEO, corporate. I think what the question is, when she enters the hiring manager's name in the first field, then is it possible to auto-populate based on our chain of command the next name in director, CEO, and corporate?
I understand. Unfortunately, you can't because there's not a hierarchy system to the contact user fields. So unlike our standard job templates where when you select department, it's tied to, when I select position, it's tied to department. These are all independent of each other, so there's no way for the HM approver to be able to decipher who the director approver is going to be. So this is always something, unfortunately, that has to be entered in. So you have to actually start keying in some letters in or characters and to get the suggestion. That is something that would be nice if we could do that, but then the problem you would run in is if you have, say you select, there's so many combinations. If you say have an approver that would be approver X and that would trigger approver Y, maybe sometimes you need approver X to trigger Z. So it's very difficult to create a hierarchy in that regard. So I apologize. It is not something that our software iteration as it stands now is capable of doing. Hopefully that answers the question. Anything else that I can elaborate on or give you a little more information on? Or is there anything that's unclear about what you've seen today?
We're good, Jeff. We're good, Jeff. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks so much, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate it. At the very back of this guide, I've listed my contact information as well as our customer success manager, Jamela Sandridge, and Sarah is our account executive on this on your account, and she will also be able to assist you if you need anything answered or any questions or any elaboration on the system. We'll be able to help you. Jamela will be taking over the account shortly from myself, and what Jamela will be doing is essentially her role is to make sure that the system is working great for you. So she checks every day to see how the system is working in regards to performance, and she also checks the actual amount of work being done in the system. So if she sees, say, a week go by and there's only 2 requisitions created, it red flags her that maybe there's a disconnect or maybe people want to learn more. Maybe there's a training void that they need some more assistance with, and she reaches out. So we're very proactive in regards to trying to make sure that not only do you understand the software, but you're getting the most out of it, and it's making your day, your daily operations run more fluid and ultimately pull a lot of stress from your day-to-day. So thank you again, everyone. I really appreciate it. And have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Matt. Bye.